Hello and welcome to Access Chat. I'm delighted that we're joined today by Stephanie Sheehy, who is the founder of Costa Rica Accessible Network. It's always good to welcome people from different parts of the world, so we're delighted to have you with us today, Stephanie. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, of course, about Costa Rica Accessible Network?
Thank you very much for having me here. Yes, of course. My name is Stephanie Sheehy. I'm the founder of the NGO Costa Rica Tourism Accessible Network, and I'm also the founder of the first travel agency in Costa Rica that specializes in accessible travel since 2012. I also created amazing projects here in Costa Rica in regards to accessibility, inclusion, education, and well, tons of different ideas and projects that have been developed since 2012 because of our, our heart and our feeling, and we know that's the right thing to do, and that's why we're here and developing a Costa Rica for all.
Can you explain us your journey and how you have become passionate about promoting inclusion, accessibility, and in particular in the travel industry, of course?
Yes, of course. Well, everything started with my boyfriend back in time. In 2005, we decided to create a tour operator where people were people and not numbers. And so we started that company in 2004. Then in 2012, we realized that in Costa Rica, every local ground operator was selling the same thing. You know, Costa Rica is very, very small. And so everyone was selling Arenal, Tortuguero, Monteverde, the classics. And it was a very hard competition because we were a very small family business. So in 2012, we went to Fitur, to the trade show in Spain. And I said, okay, I'm going to put this logo of the wheelchair on the stand and see what's going on, And it was the first time ever that people with disabilities approached Costa Rica stand. And even the government was like, oh, no, what's going on? Why they're approaching our stand? I was like, because we have the logo right here. And so I started talking with people, with wholesalers that started saying like, oh, Costa Rica, can it be accessible? We never imagined we could go to Costa Rica, And so after that show, we came back to Costa Rica. I'm an interior designer and architect. So I started checking Costa Rica, checking hotels, because when I went to Fitur to Spain, I had nothing, I was just checking the industry. So I came back and I realized that Costa Rica had a law. It's the 7,600 law that gives basic accessibility. But it wasn't well done. I think that's what's going on everywhere in the world. And so it took us 4 years to start creating an itinerary that actually worked. So there were no vans with lifts. So I started investing on the vans. There were no hotels that were actually accessible. So I picked some hotels around the country and started working with them. There were no tours accessible, so I started bringing equipment. And in 2016, we were able to bring the first group into Costa Rica. It was actually 5 electric wheelchairs that we brought from Spain at the same time. That was the first trip ever here. And since then, we have been developing, creating a Costa Rica for all from our own travel business. What happened? I realized that from a small business, I couldn't impact so much, There was a certain limit. And the suppliers were saying, like, why should I invest in accessibility if it's only you? So we realized that we had to create an NGO, someone that was bigger than us, so that we could actually work with the government, with the industry, create laws, start working with the local government so we can have the sidewalks and all of that. So we created Costa Rica Accessible Network in 2016. And that's where we started working with the government. And we had, 2 days ago was the 27th of September, which was the National World Day of Tourism, and we were on the assembly with our project of law that it's called Costa Rica Law for Tourism for All, where we're hoping that it's going to be a law for this year. And that way we're going to have, you know, something to, when you have a law, you have that background, you know, that it's not only you, it's something that you have to do, right? And it will give incentives to the tourism industry. So that's where we are. We have been doing different things around the industry so that it actually, we think that Costa Rica can be that leader in creating a destination for all, because we have been leaders in ecotourism, in conservation, in sustainability. We're just missing the social part. So that's what we have been working on.
Stephanie, first of all, thank you for all these efforts. I have been to Costa Rica a couple of times because my business partner, David Perez, lives in Costa Rica. And it's such a beautiful country. It's such a God's country, as they say. It's so beautiful, but it is very diverse. I mean, mountains and the ocean, and really Costa Rica has everything I believe that nature can provide to us of beauty. But it's also could be, I would think, more complicated to become accessible. So first of all, I thank you for all of the work that you've done for so many years. And I thank you for working so hard to make sure we all can experience the beauty of Costa Rica. But I want to thank you for being our country partner at Billion Strong too. We are Billion Strong. But this is the question I have. How have you done this? Have you had funding from the government and funding from the people of Costa Rica to really say, we agree, this is what needs to be done. Everyone should get to experience the beauty of Costa Rica? Or, yeah, just curious how you've been funding your work.
Nope. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Oh, all right, cool. That's how I found it. It didn't work for me that way either. But so how and why are you continuing this? If you were, so, and how do we change these dynamics? So important work like you are doing in your group.
Sorry to interject, Deborah. You need to bring a lot of VCs, a group of VCs, put them on a plane and take them to Costa Rica. Maybe after enjoying the weather and enjoying nature, maybe they decide to invest.
Right. I agree. That's worth it. Thank you for that injection. Over to you, Stephanie.
Thank you. No, that's not how it works. Basically, when we started the NGO, what we did was, we looked for 10 founders, 10 people that thought that it was a good idea, right? And with them, with their support, and with my private company, is that we have developed what we have done since then, you know. Basically, a percentage of the income from Il Viaggio Travel, which is my local ground operator, goes into the NGO. The NGO uses my office. The NGO uses my staff. The NGO uses my money so that it actually works. Some of the projects have been financed. I have to be clear. For example, we created the first changing place for a beach. And what we did was we used all the legislation from UK and from Spain, and we translated into Costa Rica. I used the equipment that was available here. We didn't import anything. We just used what we had here. And I created a changing place that was that moves, you know, it's like a truck, big truck that moves. And that project was financed by Booking. We were cataloged as one of the best projects in the world because of sustainability, inclusion, and equity. And so they financed this project. We created the second one as well last year, and that was financed as well. And every single beach, because we have a project that is called Donatapa. Donatapa is a whole country campaign that collects plastic lids around the country. We have collected 150 tons of plastic, which we have transformed into plastic wood. And with that wood, we create accessibility. So we have created the first amphibian chair made of recycled plastic. We have created lifeguard towers with recycled plastic, picnic tables that are accessible, and these pathways that take people into the ocean, you know. And so each beach that we create with our project is financed by different companies. So we do have some projects that are financed specifically from big companies, but the NGO itself lives from us, from Il Viaggio, from our work, and by our staff. They donate their time as well into the NGO.
So Stephanie, you're telling us that you were copying legislation from UK and other countries.
Yes.
Is there a particular reason for that? What can you tell us? So two questions in one. What can you tell us about the regulation in Costa Rica? And how are you in any formal way shaping that through to the company that you have as well?
Okay, Costa Rica legislation, which is the law 7,600, gives basic accessibility. Basically, you need to have a ramp if you have a company, like say a restaurant, a hotel. It has to have a ramp access, accessible bathroom. But by accessible, it just means you have the grab bars and the big door, and that's it, right? So it's basic accessibility. That's the law. So the thing is that when tourism comes into Costa Rica and they do need a universal accessibility, that's where it doesn't fit, you know? So with our NGO, what we're doing is we're training, we're giving the information so that the suppliers can change their point of view. Because normally when you call a hotel and you ask them, okay, I need an accessible room, they're going to say, oh, of course, we have the room that it's law 7,600. And that doesn't mean anything for a tourist, right? It's like, okay, what does that mean? So we're training them, we're giving them the information so that they can give the information accurately. They can, and also change their mind and change their infrastructure so that it becomes universal accessibility. So when we talk about the changing places, I was not going to just create something that I thought was useful. We went to UK. We met the people from Changing Places in UK. We made an alliance with them. Then we met the people from Spain, from Cambiadores Inclusivos, and we made an alliance with them. They came into Costa Rica. They certified our changing place. And so that's how we created a local changing place, right? It doesn't look the same here that in UK or in Spain, but it works the same, right? So that's how it has been done.
Stephanie, one thing I would like you to do is, I know the term changing places, but I also know it's sort of a broad term too, referring to a lot of different things. So one thing I would like you to do, just any of the audience like me that don't know as much as I should about it, is explain a little bit about what you mean when you're using the term changing places. But also, I would like you to talk about why we do need to come together at a grassroots effort, because here you and your team are just working so hard to make sure that Costa Rica is fully included. The reality is, where are all these Stephanies in the other countries, right? So I wonder if you believe that there is an advantage. I think that you've already told us that you have, because you went to the UK and Spain to see how they were doing it successfully and bring that back to Costa Rica. But why is it so important that we do all come together in a grassroots way to support the work that is being happening like in countries like Costa Rica? So there's two questions in one. Just a little bit more about changing places, but also, do you think it's really important for us to come together at a grassroots effort to make sure everybody's fully included?
Okay. Changing places, it's completely different in the UK and in Spain, because a changing place in UK and Spain can only be used by people that need assistance to change, right? In Costa Rica, what we created is a bathroom that is 100% accessible. What does that mean? It means it has a 1 meter big door. It has different contrasting colors for low vision. It has the lift so that if you need assistance to go to the restroom, so it has the restroom where you clean the what's the name where you washing something.
Washing your hands?
Yeah, what's the name of
the bathroom?
No, the
basin.
Basin. Aha. The basin. Then you have the bars that are all well done, you know, and there's an electric bed so that if you need assistance to change, you have the big electric bed, not only for changing diapers of babies, because one of the things is that when you go to a bathroom, there's always this changing diaper thing just for babies. But what happens with the big people that use diapers, you know? If you're an adult, where do you change? So on the changing places, we have this big bed that is electric, the lift, the toilet, the basin, and everything is with high contrast, with pictograms. So we use everything of accessibility so that anyone can use equally a bathroom, you know. So that's a changing place. And in Costa Rica, we don't tell people that it has to be someone that is 100% assistant, because the thing is that there's no other accessible bathroom where we put it, right? We put this bathroom on the beaches where we put the pathways. And so people with disabilities that are using the accessible pathways, the amphibian chairs, they need to change because the salt, the sand, and the water produces more issues on their skin. So that's why we put the changing place right there. And so it can be used by anyone that has a certain condition. You know, anyone that has a disability can use the changing place. If you don't have a disability, we have showers outside. And that's how a changing place works. And that's what we have been doing. Then in regards to grassroots, yes, I do think that we need to talk to each other. We have to stop having ego. For example, our project with Donatapa, that is the recycled plastic lids to create accessibility, we are open to transport it anywhere in the world. And right now we have 12 different accessible beaches in Chile with the same project, you know? So we took our project, we showed a company in Chile, which is Will the World, which I imagine you all know. Will the World is also in accessibility, and they are a partner creating the same project, but in Chile. And so we have been also talking with other countries so that we can start creating accessibility with plastic all around the world so that we can do the economic, you know, the circular economy of plastic all around the world. And it's the same with the changing places. It's the same with technology when we're talking that we need all our web pages, social media, and everything accessible. It's the same with anything. Right now, for example, I created La Inspiración, which is another project. La Inspiración was born in 2020, COVID, and I started just designing clothes so I could help my friends that had a disability. And right now we have a whole line of adapted clothing here in Costa Rica, and it's part of the NGO. So for example, every 5 shirts that we sell, we donate 1 adapted uniform so people with disabilities can go to study comfortably. Because if we have people that study, we're going to have people that we can do labor inclusion in the future, and we can help them go out of poverty, make them all part of our society. And so we're doing that here in Costa Rica with our clothes, with our projects. And what we're trying to do is that we can echo that. We can have more NGOs, more people with disabilities all around the world talking about it so that it actually becomes a whole social movement and not just a movement from our NGO, you know?
Sounds great. I'm really impressed with the way that you're trying to scale this through, you know, building, you know, businesses that sustain other businesses and so on. I think the last time I saw something that was doing something similar with Solar Ear, where they were getting deaf people to make the hearing aids that they would then sell on. They were solar powered, so they didn't need the batteries, and the whole thing was creating sustainable business models. And then on top of that, you're actually doing the extra bit, the sustainability, you know, looking at recycling and resource reusage and all of this stuff. So I'm super excited because I talk about accessibility in terms of ESG, because I work for a very large organization. So we do, you know, ESG reporting and so on. And you're linking up, you know, the E and the S, and as the NGO, I guess you're also providing the G of governance. So I think you've hit all three of the points. Be really interested to share this with some of the people within my organization that are fascinated about ESG, because I think they'll love what you're doing. I agree with you totally about the need to collaborate. Actually, you know, we frequently see people entering into competition. What that does is actually slows stuff down. Whereas when you collaborate, when you create business, it accelerates the progress that we can make. So I'm really impressed with the work you're doing there, and the fact that you're going out and you're connecting with people, you're finding best practice from all over the world, and then you're bringing it back into your own country, and then turning it back out again and sharing that with the world. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing. So how many people now work for the foundation, and how many jobs has this created in the wider ecosystem that you've created?
Well, remember that we're NGO, so we don't have how do you call it? We call it planillas. So working staff with a salary.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean, so I didn't necessarily mean salaried staff within the NGO, but what is the
volunteers, exactly.
Not just the volunteers, but the impact of that in the wider economy, because it must have created jobs in the wider economy as well.
Yeah, it depends on the project, but let's say if we're talking about, because we do various projects with Dona Tapa, we have right now 280 companies that open their doors so that people from all over the country can donate their plastic. We have around 3,500 people that have signed the agreement letter that they are collecting the plastic. But from those 3,500, we just open our doors on Thursdays, and they come, a lot of different companies that have not signed the letter, you know, they're just doing the campaign all around the country, and they just appear and say, hey, we did the campaign for 6 months, here's the plastic, you know. And so it has been incredible, the impact all around the country. With Dona Tapa right now, we decided only to open an office on Thursdays, because if we open the company to receive the plastic every single day, it would be impossible. Only on Thursdays, we get 2 tons of plastics, only on Thursdays. And so that's a whole replica all around the country that that the people have been conscious now. They know how to separate plastic. They know that there's an impact on that. And so they're doing it, well, all around the country. Then in regards to La Inspiración, which is the clothing, we have around 30 models, 30 different conditions that are working with us. And we have been on Costa Rica Fashion Week. We have been with Samantha in London Represents as well. And so it has been replicating, you know, from here out. We have a program of education. We did an alliance with an university here in Costa Rica, and we did the first program of education to specialize in accessible travel. It's a 5-month program with 104 hours. And it has been going for the past 2 years. We have trained more than 5,000 people already in the industry. We have an alliance with a technological startup that is from Chile, and we're creating a whole Costa Rica app where we're going to create the first technological directory of accessibility for the country. So yes, we do have a lot of hands, a lot of people working around the country with education, information, technology, laws, and the projects themselves.
So, Stephanie, sometimes when we talk about accessible traveling and when we look at what is happening online, usually accessible traveling gets viral online for the wrong reasons. No, there's someone in a wheelchair in the escalator because there was no elevator. There's a wheelchair that was damaged. So how do you see the future of accessibility inclusion in the travel industry?
Okay, we have been trying to do the opposite in Costa Rica, show what is really working. That was why in 2021, Lonely Planet cataloged us as the best in travel in accessibility for 2021. That is why as well, we're the only project in whole America on the guide of best practices of the WNTO, the OMT in Costa Rica. It's the World Travel Organization. We've brought people from all different conditions to actually enjoy and talk about how it does work, how it has to be not only equipment, but also service. I think that's why it works in Costa Rica, because we're the pura vidas, pura vida, the pure life. We're very happy people. We're always very, we do a lot of service. We're always trying to help. So we've been trying to show that it has two impacts. One is that there's a lot of people that actually think that they can come alone to Costa Rica and that Costa Rica is accessible. And that is not true, right? Because, of course, we make it accessible. If you come, I think accessibility is the same niche as any specialization. If you want to go and see birds, you have to go with a bird specialist. If you want to go and do an adventure, you have to go to an adventure specialist, right? Accessibility is the same. If you actually want to go with the 100% accessible service, you need to go with the specialist, right? In regards to the other factor that goes in media, that everyone shows what's not working, I don't think it's the good way, because we have done that for so many years. We have shown that the airlines are not doing the correct thing for years. And that hasn't changed. So I do think that we as a community of people with disabilities and influencers and people that want to go beyond and try to make the change, we have to change our way of doing things. Instead of saying the bad things, we have to give answers. We have to give solutions. For example, I was in Mexico with one of my models because we went to get a honor certification in the Sustainability Travel Summit. And it took us 1.5 hours just to go down the airplane, so that we could get assistance. And that made us lose our connection. Do we have to put that on social media? Do we have to show people that happens? Everyone knows that happens. And there's no solution. So what we did is I talked with the government. I talked with Costa Rica Minister of Tourism, which has an alliance with the airlines. And we need to talk and see what we're going to do, right? Start making solutions instead of just saying this is not working.
I think that's tremendously important. We need to. It's fine to understand and point out that there are problems, but if all you do is say how bad people are, they're going to quickly tire of listening to you. So exactly. You've really got to come with solutions, and clearly you're a solution-minded person because you've created multiple. I'm really impressed. So thank you so much for sharing with us all of the work you're doing. I also need to thank My Clear Text for keeping us captioned, and Amazon for helping keep us on air. Really look forward to continuing the conversation on social media. Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you.